You know, Marie, can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wonder if relaunching it, I'm going to
Oh,
have
no,
to
we're good. We're good. Start. We're good.
So we see the share?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Mark.
I'm
Hey,
Mark Safan. This is Art Matters New York. I'm here with my colleague Hans Witschi
hi.
and our regular members and special guest, Lydia Rubio, painter, um, who I know from up here in the Hudson Valley. Lydia lives in the town of Hudson. Um, Lydia is a multidisciplinary visual artist. You're going to have to listen to this again. Lydia, born in Cuba, raised in Puerto Rico, third generation of women painters in her family, has a 45-year studio practice, started in New York City, previously based in Miami and Bogota. Um, Painting is the core of her practice, and it's based on a conceptual system, not a fixed style. She's done many public art commissions, most notably The Gates of Earth and Air at the Raleigh-Durham Airport, um, and for Miami-Dade County, and others. Her work has been exhibited internationally in over 30 solo shows and 90 group shows. And there's a long list of shows. She holds a Master of Architecture from Harvard University, Graduate School of Design, and a bachelor's degree in architecture from the University of Florida, as well as other institutions of high learning. She's received a Pollock Krasner Foundation grant, a Cintas Fellowship Award, State of Florida Artist Award, and a Miami-Dade Community Foundation grant, and a Graham Foundation grant. Um, the scholar and literary critic Emir Rodríguez Monegal said, and I quote, an art of illusion and of obsession, which is both calligraphically lucid and elusive. Borges once said, the aesthetic phenomenon is the imminence of a revelation which does not occur. In these paintings and drawings, we are nearer than we will ever be to that revelation. So I want to introduce Lydia Rubio. And Lydia, you want to just open the discussion or open the presentation and tell us what we're looking at?
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Mark. I'm glad to be here, and I hope that we can talk about aspects of the work, and I'm open to any questions that you have. I decided to start with, early works because I want to show you the ideas that I have been developing for years. And this is a very important piece, and it's the period. This is a 1984 piece done in New York when I had the studios in New York. And I started my work in 1980. And this piece is called Viñales Praun. And Praun is based on the idea of constructivist Prouns. I was able to see a lot of exhibitions at the Guggenheim of the constructivists, and that was very, very significant to me. And I wanted to do a piece that had to do with a representational image and then an abstract way of handling the format. So in this case, it's about a valley, and the landscape of the valley is turned into the sea. You don't see the valley, you see water. This is about water, the valley as water. And then the idea of the horizontality of the format has to do with the horizon and water also. The mountains are represented by cubes, and this painting was in my storage for maybe 40 years or something like that. It's been shown very little, this piece, and so fortunately the resolution that I have is not very, very good, but it's an oil on different canvases, and it was recently acquired for a collector in New York 1 year ago. So that's a precedent. We can go to the next image. At the beginning of, like Mark was saying, I was more involved with commentaries about Cuba and the island. I had that for about, not exactly Cuba and the island. There was migration. There was all these topics that were related, no? In this case, this is a piece called Subversiones, which is subversions.
Oh.
And this is the map of the island of Cuba, cut up into 16 sections. The paintings are done on wood, and they're 8x8 modules of 8x8. Each one has a letter, and you can form different words that are related to a political commentary on the island and related to the exodus and dispersion of the Cuban people that are basically everywhere. And now you can put a piece that belongs to the Key West, for example, or the lower section of Florida, next to Matanzas or another section of Cuba based on the words, okay? So the words are, for example, in this case, you have subversiones, and you can read en prisiones, which means in prisons. So you have the inversions, you have diversions, you have pressures, you have prisons, you have revisions, you have subversions, and then you have the first universes. These are words that you can form with this work. So we can, and then all, by the way, all the pieces fit in that box, in the black box.
So are these all, each one is painted, is a painted image of a map, a part of a map of Cuba?
Yes, yes. And the Straits of Florida. I took all the way to the southern part of Florida. You see it here in the N?
Yes.
So there are several installations for this piece. One installation is that you see the whole map, okay? So we can go to the next slide to see if we see that's the whole map.
Right.
Ah.
So these can be arranged in any way that
Exactly.
one.
It's a painting that changes with the words, and that's something that I've done many, many times in my work. So we can go to the next slide. This is the pieces inside the box, okay? You can play with this work. That's the idea of interactive play and in different installations, even though that the collector that has this piece for many years has it as the whole map, and he has not destroyed or separated the pieces or, you know, the island, you know, he keeps it as a whole totality.
Right.
Do you want him to move everything around? Would you like him to?
I am going to ask him, why don't you do other arrangements? But he's stuck with this arrangement, I guess. People want to see whole images.
Yes.
Not fractured images. So you can go to the next. These are all the words that you can see.
Oh, nice.
And I printed, you know, it's very, lots of fun to sometimes I put the words in English and also in Spanish so that there is a double reading.
Yeah.
So are you so I guess, I mean, if this is all a part of the work, it means that you're imagining, you're thinking in all of these different strata. There's a visual strata, there's the strata of language, of letters, there's a map.
Yeah.
There's a conflation of many, many, many different kind of distinct layers that almost like three-dimensional chess.
Yes. It's a game. It's painting for me has been uh, uh, sort of a game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's sort of a Scrabble almost.
It's,
Mm.
see, yes, he has to do, even though I don't play.
Political Scrabble, political Scrabble.
Yeah, but we can go now to the next image. This is a later painting about landscape, and I have always dealt, or I've dealt, oh no, don't take it away.
I won't.
Okay, nature have been an underlying theme in my work, and this is, it's called Enigma, like an enigma, the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Can be also read in Spanish the word imagen, that is
Oh.
And
image.
what?
So
Image.
the letters of enigma, that is a very universal word because it's the same in many languages, enigma.
Yes.
It's in Spanish, can be turned into imagen, which means image.
Yeah.
So to me, the idea was to depict different aspects of nature that I thought were vital, the elements of nature. And at the time I was living in Bogota, Colombia. This piece belongs to the series of 2014, okay, in Colombia, that I did many paintings of landscapes with, again, with a twist, the verbal twist, or even different installations and things like that, no?
Mm.
I also did a book of the trips that I took through Colombia, and all these paintings were documented in the book. I do that, the process books that go along with the show. And this is, by the way, oil on wood. Oil on wood. The paintings are 12 inches by 12 inches each. And it's small so that you can actually activate and change the piece around, no? Because it's small modules, no? Okay.
They're beautifully painted. There's a very light touch,
Yes.
just enough. It's like it's not overly painted. It's not as struggled. It's not a struggle in a way.
Well,
I mean, in the sense of of a kind of an expressionistic or an abstract painting. Uh, they're just very delicate, which
well,
is quite beautiful.
this is oil with glazes. I work with glazes and almost transparent paint. Because I like transparency, and I learned on my own. I learned based on technical books of, by the way, a German book that is excellent of techniques. Very famous man that was from the school of Dusseldorf. You must know that. Hans, the book that I'm talking about. It's a book of techniques and. No, it's not Dorner. It's another one that I have.
Yeah, Turner is very famous.
Yes,
know the other
but
one.
this is also bigger than Dorner.
I
Okay.
see, okay. No.
And so I learned, and then I went to also restorers, and I asked them, how do you do this? I mean, why do you do this way? Let me ask you, painters that were exquisite painters in New York, tell me, give me the recipe of the varnishes that you use, and they did. One from Argentina. That was she was Norma Besuet, a painter in New York. She gave me the different mixtures that he used as medium, and I've been using them for all these years.
Is it a pretty traditional painting medium?
It
Like
is
three,
traditional, but never. I make my own, so it's a
yeah.
mixture of damar varnish, oil, linseed oil or stand oil, and
Yeah.
the
Right.
thing is that when you work with, you know how it is that you work from to like from dry to more oily in the process. What happens with these glazes is that it's like cooking. When you're cooking a sauce, the sauce thickens, and then when you put a brush into that sauce, you know, the details can be fantastic, and it works. It works for you. It helps you paint, you know.
Mm.
And
Right.
you have to have the kind of attitude towards painting that is like this, like almost like an old style of
Right.
European works of the 17th century, you know, the 18th, 16th century, 15th century, you know.
Yes.
Right.
Not 15, because in 15 they were doing egg tempera.
Yes. Mm. Mm.
And this is a major piece that I think it's the most complex piece that I've done in my life. No?
I'm going to start here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay, this is an appropriation of a Rubens, and the
Oh.
painting is called Lot 24. There are 24 sections in this painting, and the reason why I did 24 sections is that I studied the grids, the geometric grids that were used in the Baroque area of Rubens,
Oh.
and I selected a grid of 4 by 6, which gives me 26 sections. So this painting is exactly the same size as the Rubens, the Exodus from Sodom and Gomorrah, which is in 2 museums of Florida.
Oh.
One is the Ringley Museum and the other one is the Bass Museum. And I said to myself, wow, what a coincidence that this painting that I was studying Rubens at the time. And, you know, I mean to say, when I say studying, is that I not only read the books and read the whatever, but also went to museums and looked at the paintings and I said, how in the world they did that red? So I checked in Dorner and other sources, and then they said, oh, the red, you know, was done by glazes of this and this and that. And then at the end you add this, and oh, I got it. So, you know, I applied these things, and this red is also related to Rubens in a sense. But anyway, the painting puts together, it's like biographic because I am there. I am in the 4th panel on the top, and 2 of my other friends are there, my lovers, ex-partners, Jill and a Swiss woman. That is the last face that you have there, Hans,
Yeah.
from Geneva. No, actually,
Ah,
she's from
right.
Neuchâtel.
Neuchâtel, are we? Yeah. That's
Okay.
on the top, on the right corner, top
Yes,
is her
yes,
face. Okay. I
yes.
don't know her. I don't know her.
No, you don't know her. Maybe you could meet her when you go back. Okay. So then my mother is there in the 3rd panel. Okay.
Oh.
Yes, I
And
see.
that's the face of my mother. And she was
Mhm.
always very upset that I became a lesbian. So I put her there with a
Mhm. Mhm.
handkerchief, like she's crying, no? And then I have the heart on my hand. I mean, the painting is filled with many details, and one of the details is that there are quotes in this painting. There are quotes of other painters, okay? And I can show you some of those examples now. At the bottom of the row, the bottom row has a detail of Exodus and the balseros and the policy of Cuban migrants of wet feet and dry foot. The
Oh,
wet feet are the ones that if you have your wet feet, that was a law before, you
Yeah.
could be returned. But if you have dry feet, like the next one with the boots, then you could stay in the USA.
Wow.
Next to that, there are 2 boats that are actual boats that came from the Exodus from Cuba. One of them is a truck that was made into a boat.
Ah.
I put that in there. And so there are many things in this painting. It's like a very, but then the other thing about this painting is that it took me 3 years to complete. And then I have a book that tells all the story of how I did it. And then also that every module is numbered. You have a number for each piece.
Mhm.
From number 7 to number it would be number 18. All of those modules in the center can be turned horizontally, and you get a different reading of the paintings.
Mhm.
So I will show you in the previous slide has the book, the painting in space, and a video that was done to explain the painting.
Mm.
This video is accessible in my webpage. You can see it under news. You can see the video. I am talking about the painting there. Then let's go to the
Where was that exhibited? Where was this the room we just saw?
the painting was exhibited in Florida only in 2 occasions at the Frost Art Museum, and it was exhibited in a private gallery, the Kunsthaus Gallery in Wynwood, and that was the 2 places that the painting was exhibited. Now, I have tried to connect to the Bas Museum in different occasions in the past, or the Ringling, to show this painting next to the Rubens. But they don't pay attention to me. So, you know, it will remain like that in storage, you know. But
Lydia,
it's a
Lydia,
work-
don't worry. After this video, they're going to pick it up. Don't worry.
well, you know what? It is taking a while. The painting was done, finished in 2007. And it's such a complex piece that I think
Yes.
it's a showstopper. I mean, when people see
I
it, they,
do too. Fabulous.
they're
How big-
stuck. They're stuck. They're struck. They're, you know,
Yeah.
what the hell is this? And you know,
Yeah.
How big is it, Lydia?
it's the same. It's about not with about 9 feet wide by each panel is 16 by 22. So you
Okay.
have almost 8 feet high by, you know,
Mhm.
4 feet, 8 feet. No,
And they're panels. It's oil on panel.
it's oil on aluminum panels.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So these panels are made such a very thin aluminum sheet,
Right.
and then, I floated the panel away from the wall. So
Right.
you have a gap and a
Oh.
shadow.
Wow. Can we see that again? Could you show the first image? I'm curious. Oh, okay. So I can see now that there are panels that you're.
Yeah, they're separated a little bit
Yeah.
from
Yes. Yes.
And
I love
the
it.
image of Rubens was the departure of Lot and his family from Sodom.
exactly. Exactly. And that's when the 2 angels are there. And I read the text in the Bible, and it's outrageous. That text is outrageous. What happens and everything.
Oh,
Oh, I
And
see.
then there is a quote from the Bible right there on the last
So
panel in
it,
the
it,
box.
Oh,
I
where?
maybe
The last when morning comes, the angels urge. The panel number 24, right in the
Right.
bottom, right.
can
Mhm.
I share the painting of Rubens for a moment? That's as reference.
Uh,
I have it, but not.
I have it also.
You have it here? No,
Yeah.
you have it in your screen, or you have it.
I
I
have
wonder
it.
if can we both share at the same time?
No.
I think we
Just
should
stop
do.
sharing and then you go back later on. Did you stop sharing?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. I share it for a moment.
Now we got lost again.
No,
Well,
hold on. I'm sharing my screen to show you
we're going to try to get back
the
best
painting
we can.
that you see what you are referring to. Do you see the painting?
yes.
Yes, that's it.
It is.
That's the Rubens painting.
You see
Ah,
the Lot
makes
is in the center. The woman that is crying is, of course, his wife, replaced by my
Ah.
mom.
Right, exactly.
And then the angels, and then the 2 lovers are the 2. I am another angel, and then the one that is the 2 friends are on the right,
Uh-huh.
daughters of Lot.
It's nice.
I like your painting better.
I do too.
Now you can go back the Mark. Dulce.
Okay, that's great. You have to recommend it to the museums. Okay, now we go to the next, that was the one below. You can click on the image below, Mark, below, that one. Yay.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is the way I made it. What happened is that I took the Rubens print, a print of the Rubens, and I cut it up in 24 sections. And each little section, I turned around to see what I could do with that section. And you see the little section.
Mhm.
This is the process that I followed, and at a point I couldn't handle it anymore. I put it away, and then I came back and finished it 3 years later.
Oh.
Lydia, I think it's so interesting that your approach to painting is also very architectural.
Oh,
And
yes, yeah. Well,
I
yeah.
didn't realize you went to school in Harvard to get your architect degree.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
makes sense. You know, the way that you look at paintings, you're kind of bringing them to,
Mm.
you know, um,
Mm.
different types of shapes, and that makes sense to you, like an architect would. So it's fascinating.
Well, there are two things that I think that I was influenced by architecture. First is the use of geometry, and the other one is of course, the knowledge of form, but the other one is the planning ahead. And planning ahead, for example, a series of paintings before I even start painting them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I plan ahead like a writer would do for a novel, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And that I do as a strategy before I start a series of paintings. And if I don't have that sort of outline, in a sense, I'm a little bit paralyzed.
Mm.
Once I have a vision of an outline like that, then I go like very quickly, and I do the things without, because I know what each one is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that painters sometimes don't work like that. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Well, I think that part of the reason, I love this work, and it really appeals to me, the point of departure and the way that you approach painting. And I thought that it would be, very instructive to see that there are many, many ways to approach a painting. This
Yeah.
being one of them, which is, kind of with many, many, in this case, many, many different layers, and very articulated and formulated before even picking up the brush. So it's, there's a conceptual basis, comes from many, many different places, and it ends up as a painting. And I thought that was a very, very interesting
Well, to me, it works to me because, by the way, I have studied a lot of, what happened with the abstract expressionism and all that in the USA. I have studied a lot of it, read biographies, read criticism, everything.
Sure.
And the problem is that that tradition has been misused so much with the idea of spontaneity and fighting with the canvas and fighting with the paint. To me, it's like a absurdity, total, that doesn't advance painting. What that I mean, is that, we all fight through a process. We all discover things as we go. There is magic in that process. But there has, Leonardo used to say, la pintura è cosa mentale. It means that painting is a thing of the mind. And for example, thinking of persons like Magritte and Duchamp. Well, Duchamp was not really a painter, poor thing. He was, he was other things. But Magritte was a thinker, and other. I'm any artist that I think that I don't know. I think that thinking has to be a part of painting, and I think that the critics of abstract expressionism and the tradition in the schools of abstract expressionism has destroyed the potential of so many painters in this country, specifically this country.
Lydia, would you say your work is Apollonian? It looks that way to me.
Well, Apollonian, but if you look at one piece, you'll see it's Dionysian. You can see that. Let's look at
There's so much, the Apollonian part outweighs that. And your method is very, to me, Apollonian.
Yes.
It's very, very mentally precise.
What is that?
It's not Dionysus. It's
But
Apollo.
within, no, I can see though, within each square though, there's a beautiful richness and what looks like complete spontaneity.
But the totality is very Apollonian, I think. It's very good.
I think that there is
I enjoy these paintings very much.
I agree with
I
you.
want to believe that I have the two in my work because I am a mixture personally
Yes.
too.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you just look at this, you know, the way this hits the retina, you know, just the pure visual experience is sensual, like these reds,
Yeah.
and the way these, like this little area here, for example, number 13, you know, 16, 19, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Number
You know,
14,
like,
the quotes Goya.
So yeah, so exactly. So this is, you know, this is very visceral. I mean, not
Yeah.
only the color, but the form and the use of abstraction and, you know, and then the superimposition of the grid. You know, these are all optical and sensual devices. Clearly, you are lavishing in the sensual as well. But the point of departure and the way this comes together has a very, very powerful and a very strong cerebral
Yes,
emphasis.
you said it very
No
well.
doubt. It has a conceptual framework. And
Yes.
it's, you know, but there's certainly a balance, but I would say that's true of most artists. There's a spectrum, you know, even Jackson Pollock, you know, I mean, the paintings are extremely precise, you know, and there's a conceptual basis, you know, the way those paintings work, even though it appears that they're, you know, totally spontaneous, there's a conceptual rigor, I would say, to those paintings and to most painters. So that's like an overlay. It's integrated, you know, the Apollonian, the Dionysian.
But his work tends towards the Dionysian.
Yeah,
even
I just
though
want to, it's a spectrum.
it's the emphasis is what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
This is to me a very intellectual piece. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful sensual parts. And Lydia does them so well. And I'm enjoying it very much, Lydia. Very much.
Thank you. No, maybe we can see the next image. The next. Okay, this is a detail of number 18. And by the way, number 18, I hope we have the version. I wanted to show the version that is this is the horizontal version of number 18, which is part of the dress of my friend, the Swiss woman.
Of the dress.
It's part of the dress.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Oh
wish
my goodness.
to see it again.
No, we have to see, there is an amplified view of that in the vertical format. It's number 18 here.
I see it. Yeah, there.
Yeah, right here.
That's
right.
Look at that.
Oh,
Yes.
that's great.
Oh,
But then there all of these pieces change, all of them from 7 to 18.
Right.
And for example, that number 12 is a quote of a Swiss landscape in the area of
Oh,
Lausanne.
yeah.
oh, goodness.
Oh, that's really playful. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
That almost exists in a Johnsian, you know, Jasper Johns universe, where things become other things. He plays a lot with you know, illusions and optical illusions and so on. So yeah, I mean, there's a so we can say that. Go ahead.
I have represented money a lot in my work, and this is number 10. You see the bills
Yes.
Yeah.
below.
Yeah.
I like that where things have a very precise symbolic value, and you're using symbols very specifically that function, as symbols, that are layered and have a currency. No pun intended here with regard to the money, but they do have a currency with, regard to how we share. We have certain ideas that we all agree on about certain as symbols, which is how they work as symbols. There's a consensus, there's an agreement, but then within that, there's a lot of variation, a lot of interpretation.
I like how you merge these two things together to this conceptual, clear things. It's very interesting, to
Yeah.
very complex, and still it's not too, what I'm saying, it's not too much, it's just,
Right.
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
it's a very nice thing to look at, and very
beautifully painted.
interesting.
I mean, that's when I originally spoke to Lydia about this presentation and about showing these slides, I wanted to hone in closely into these, because they, from a distance, they appear, more, the more conceptual, more that we've been talking about. But when you come in close, there's a beautiful touch, a very beautiful hand
Yes.
and quality in all of the works. Very precise and delicate,
Yeah. Thank
Would
you.
you guys
which I
be
like.
Would you be able to just define what you mean by Dionysia? And I know that's a Greek, but how are you using
The culture of sensuality, excesses, the culture of sin, the excessive food and drink, and parties and dancing and
All the good stuff, the good stuff.
And
The fun.
chaos,
the god of wine,
Chaos.
the
chaos.
god of wine.
Right. Yeah.
But what does that mean to you? Just a sensuality, a richness of
In the brush, look at the way it's painted, and in the subject matter as well, and in the use of color, even though I have restricted my color palette for later to very minimal, but it also a character I have in my own personality. I have two sides. That side that is the studious and serious and concentrated discipline, and the crazy one that does things that shouldn't do. I have the two in me.
Yeah.
I haven't met that side of you yet. That's the second. I'm waiting.
You don't know me. You don't know me.
gotta go to Miami.
Well, the thing is, look, I have moved through the world, moving and living in different cities, changing from one country to another, changing from one house to another, losing properties. I mean, like I left a beautiful house in Miami because I lost it. I mean, like these are things that don't happen to a reasonable person. I mean, that is conservative in a way, and I don't know. There are many things. I love to cook too. That's part of my sensual.
I think you balance very nice, this rational with this instinctual,
Yes.
which is the wild and the rational.
And these are
something you are very doing very nice, and great results also. These are not really I can feel emotions. You know what I'm saying? It's not. There is there are works which are just only rational.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like Donald Judd, or you know,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
or all, you know, which is just rational.
Oh,
And
yes.
Right.
you are balancing it completely different.
Yes.
On a,
I-
and I like that. That's very.
I appreciate that comment very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like
this is the
that.
book,
It-
right? This is the book.
This is the book that is the process book that I will show you. If you want to see it, I can show it to you. If you're, in Hudson one day, and, I can show you the book. It's a process book of all the things that I did to put together this piece.
Oh, wow.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this piece is it's called Adler-Kravecas, and it's the translation of that word is the arch and the lyre, the lyre and the arch, and I did it based on a book by Octavio Paz, a Mexican poet, El Arco y la Lira, a book that he did on poetry, and I thought of Adler-Kravecas, and this is like a metronome. It's 9 feet high,
Oh,
and it's wood, and it's composed of a painting of the wing and a sculpture of the wing together in the same piece. The letters are written in the painting, into the painting, the title.
mm.
Beautiful.
This is 97 or so, I think that's the date. Okay.
Mm.
Really great.
Mm.
I started to do the sculptures in aluminum when I was commissioned the first projects of our public art.
Right.
Mm.
It's a nice piece. Yeah.
Beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting, you know, music is big. Music usually is considered more Dionysian, you know, music, you know. And here also the metronome gives a rational, the rhythm, and you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you are the rhythm plays a big role in your work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning, not so much now.
Mhm, mhm.
That's the Cuban twist,
Even to
Ah,
is the rhythm.
but
Yeah.
twist is an American name, no? Twist, right?
But she said the Cuban twist in her
Yeah, I
work.
know. But is that a
Yeah, but it's
what's
the
the
American,
Spanish?
sure.
What is the Spanish word for twist?
Well, you can say sabor, especie, or no, you can say twist is what can you say the equivalence? Oh, um, now I'm thinking in English. It's difficult for me to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because, interesting, there may be no translation, or there probably is, but it's a great word, twist. It really has, character, the word itself. And it's interesting how, in pop culture, the twist, was a dance craze in the
Yes,
50s.
exactly.
But it's interesting how they seized that really great word, you know?
Mm.
But it's not pivot.
Giro?
Huh?
Giro? To twist? Giro?
Giro?
And what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Giro, Giro.
Yeah.
Giro.
Yeah.
No.
Well, like girasol
Oh, no.
in Spanish means sunflower.
No. I
Gira,
cannot
Gira, because
associate
it twists, it follows the sun.
gira. No, I cannot associate. No,
Girasol.
that's not the meaning. No.
No.
Yeah.
It's more
Anyway.
like sabor, like flavor, like
Mm.
like for example, this famous Cuban singer Celia Cruz, she used to say azúcar, and azúcar meant that Cuban twist, azúcar,
Ah.
like
That's like a
sugar.
Mm.
Ah,
Sugar,
Giro,
sugar.
maybe Giro.
Yeah,
Giro.
G-I-R-O.
Giro
Giro.
d'Italia. Giro d'Italia.
Giro.
Hero.
Yes, they said it.
A twist is a hero.
Yeah.
It's a turn.
Said.
It's a turn of the screw. It's a turn of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Ah,
Or girasol.
Yeah.
can we see more work?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
This is
Okay.
getting way too Apollonian around here.
Now,
Oh,
now it's very Apollonian with a spiral twist.
oh,
This
that's
is
great.
This is one
Well,
of the,
here's something. This twists. This certainly twists.
Mm.
yeah. This is
Look
a
at
real
it.
twist. A real twist and a word this is one of the most difficult or ambitious work that I've done in public art, and it was
Mm.
the spiral is about 45 feet high,
Oh,
and as you see the structure is held to the building structure. My sculptures are tied to the building structure, so I
Ah.
use the structure of the building to help my sculpture. Okay, my
yes.
structural element of the sculpture.
Mm.
This the structure was invented by me, even though there were advisors, engineers from Boston that did the calculations. It is based on the harmonic proportions of the spiral, so that the increase in width and height is exactly to the proportions of the Fibonacci series.
Oh,
And the sculpture is also based on a floor that was designed by me, that has the spiral, and also it has the equation of the derivation of spirals inserted in metal in the floor.
oh boy.
Does this have a name, this sculpture?
The Gate of Air. The airport commissioned me 2 pieces that were done over a period of 5 years. This was a contract that I earned in the year 2000. For it was finished in 2008, the whole process. But I had to wait to do the second sculpture, which is this one, because the building was not built or finished. So my contract I had a contract for 5 years, but there was no escalating clause.
Oh,
Able to change and complete this contract on time and on budget in a miraculous way. I did this piece was built in Denver.
It's
Wow.
aluminum, or what is it?
This piece is stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
The other piece was aluminum that you'll see
Yeah.
in the next slide. By the way, I had to install this piece in the lobby of the building. When the building was finished, we had to bring the piece in sections through a door that was 6 feet wide and weld inside the pieces without damaging the rest of the space.
Well, come on, it's an airport. It's not the Gagosian Gallery.
No, but what do you mean by that? Oh, no, the thing is that
I'm saying,
it was
I'm saying,
no, I didn't realize, I didn't ask, but when we planned this sculpture, the airport only had that door and they didn't say.
It's funny, that a gallery in Soho has a bigger
Right,
door
no,
than an airport.
They should have larger doors in airports as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Where
That
is this airport?
At Raleigh, North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham.
So how about this one, this piece,
This is
the
the
tree?
Gate of Earth. This is the Gate of Earth. And it was a tree based, the thing was based on the traditions of North Carolina. The tree is the tree for the state of North Carolina, which is the dogwood tree. And then there were symbolic things, like I had a bird inside that was the cardinal bird. And in the floor, there was the text of a part of the text of Look Homeward Angel, a local writer that was inserted in the floor. So this is the aluminum tree that was built in Raleigh by a series of a workshop that did other kinds of metal work. This is all aluminum, and it was built by mostly Mexican workers. And the detail here, I stopped the tree branches from coming inside the building. It comes inside the building into the lobby. They're separated 6 inches from the glass, but when you look at it, you think that it's going through the glass.
Yeah.
Oh,
So are both pieces in the same airport? Or are these
Yes.
different?
Yes. The thing is that this
Is,
airport,
is,
you
is there a
cannot.
visual connection between the two pieces?
There is a conceptual connection. This is
Okay.
this is south, and the other one is north, and it's according to the coordinates that I found in the floor plan of that building. So it's not that I forced this. It was given to me by the site. I said,
Okay.
Right,
Oh.
north, south, earth and they're symbolic, earth and air, are
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
The gate to earth, it's called, right?
yes.
And the other one is the gate to air.
No,
Oh.
this is earth. You see
Yeah,
the
right.
four
And the other
Sure.
one was the
red-
gate to earth, to air, right?
yeah.
This is air and water and earth and fire. Let's say that way.
Ah.
Mhm.
Are they also contrasting Dionysian and Apollonian in your mind?
Maybe yes, yeah, you got it.
I think that's the overriding
Yeah.
theme of your work, and it's marvelous. It's just marvelous, and
Oh,
it
I love
connects
that.
through the ages.
It makes me
Yeah.
think about it. Yes, it's great
It-
that you.
Absolutely.
It's all through the ages, through the arts of the ages.
Absolutely.
Those two.
I think very much I had this discussion recently with a friend about Cézanne and his bathers. And he was an artist that really, really integrated those two
Yeah.
different, tendencies or poles or,
Yeah, the intellectual or geometer and the
yeah,
sensual.
I mean, he was so rigorous and so
Yeah.
intellectual, but the painting was so sensual and
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yes.
And his last attempts, with these large bathers with these big triangular formats, he was really trying to find this, global theory of integration,
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, really great. So let's keep going.
Mm.
These are the books that I do. For
Mm.
example, in this case, it's a book called Alpiste, which means in Spanish means bird food. Alpiste.
A piste.
And Alpiste is the words are like the letters are throughout the book, and this is a poem by Dulce María Loynaz, a prominent Cuban writer who died, and I've done several things on her poems, and also with other poets. The appropriation of poems to work with, this book is, by the way, it's mounted on a piece of wood so that it can be hung on the wall and you can scroll the pages by flipping with your hand, touching the book and changing the pages with your hand.
So are these each one of these photos is of a different page of the book that is
Yes.
fastened to the panel?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
book. No, the book is bound, okay?
I see.
Bound. I don't remember how I bound it, but it's bound and then it's attached to the panel.
Mm.
So is this
Mm.
a unique piece?
Yeah.
Just one book?
Most of my books
Mm.
are unique because I haven't had the opportunity or the funds to publish the books.
This would be a great book to
Yeah. By the
to
way,
do-
this is
to
a heavy.
publish.
This is about
Beautiful.
16 inches high.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
It's a large book.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, now we're into the really Apollonian phase. This is part of the
And
series,
they're very lovely.
the geometrics that also change configurations. This is called the pink machine. and it's an oil on wood, and it's about 20 inches high each module. It's the combination of the square and the circle I've done in many occasions in different pieces. And I have the green machine, the pink machine. And again, you have the combination there of strict geometry and then the atmospheric kind of suggestions behind. They're not flat planes. They're not all flat. This is dated 2018 or 19, maybe. No, 17, maybe.
Yeah, circling the square.
Beautiful.
No problem. Yeah.
Again, the painting, just the quality of your touch is just so delicious.
Yeah.
This could be eaten, right?
Just feels good.
Butter, no, like a cake. Oh, it would be nice to do a cake with that decoration.
I like this the up art part here where the shadow of the white line, you know.
Yeah.
That's a very
Why did you choose not to put a shadow in the similar shape? Why didn't you run this white line and throw a shadow on that?
Oh, no. That's not a shadow. In the
No, here it's a shadow.
You read it as a shadow, but
of course it's painted.
It was
it's painted. We know it's painted.
No, I know, but I just saw that possibility that could be read as a shadow. I just saw it now.
Oh.
In fact, it's a great idea. Great idea.
I'm so glad I could open your eyes.
No,
yeah.
I have to do that more like that. Yeah, thank you, Hans.
You're very welcome. I like that so much. That's great, wonderful.
And I love that yellow right in the middle.
Yes.
It's just a tiny little yellow spot.
Yeah. And the white line.
Yeah.
Well, the beauty of this is that you can see it when you install it in different ways. I am even surprised when I installed it in a different way for a gallery or whatever. It was here in Warren Street for some weeks. This painting.
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it. It was a fireplace project, and he loved it. He loved to change it and play with it and take it away from the wall and show the people how he could change the painting around.
Yes.
Fortunately, it didn't sell.
But Lydia, I like how you're so open to people moving your pieces around. I think you have, I love that. I think that's a really nice part of how you look.
It's just against the idea of art being untouchable and this exaggeration of not touching the work, you know. They're you know, well, I don't know. That's the hands-on kind of approach.
I like that though. It makes the art more accessible, and interaction between the viewer and you is more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I did a series of erasable paintings where I invited the people to erase the work that was in chalk and acrylic. And that was a real interaction of, you know, documenting problems of the Hudson River. This piece is large, done all with natural pigments. It's not oil. It's all pigments that I have that I combine with resins and I apply to the canvas. This is on canvas because it was so large, and it's called 12 Moons Biscayne Bay, and it's a little bit washed. The color here in this slide is not as powerful. It's like washed. The slide is a little. It's a light painting, but it's.
But this is a very good example for Mary or for Cliff also. I mean, for Mary, you know, like you see multiple panels,
Yeah.
and how to keep this thing together and have even more space. And you know what I'm saying? It's a great thing. And for Cliff, it's good because you have no studio. You can all make these smaller panels and put it afterwards together. You know what I'm saying? It's a very, it's wonderful piece, I think.
Yeah.
And very, you know.
Oh, well, at this point, I'm thinking of course, I've done some pieces where I attach panels together that are smaller panels. Yeah.
Nice. Very, very beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice.
Did I was curious if the planning that went into this is similar to the planning that you've had in your older pieces, the intense period of planning, and this seems to be a more unplanned. I'm wondering, what was the level of planning to this type of work opposed to the intense planning of the earlier works?
Well, I think that the grid, the geometric grid, is something that I work on little by little in the canvas. I don't think that I'm doing many sketches or diagrams before I paint. I like to I am very conscious of the proportions of the canvas that I select from height to width that have to be a particular proportion. But then from there, I start subdividing that format into different formats based on these proportions. And the color, again, the color is something that I may visualize a type of area on the top and on the side, and then, but that is made a little by little decisions. However, in this case, by the way, because I'm working with transparent pigments, it's not very easy to change the color because I want to preserve the transparency. So for example, you have the centerpiece, the center section that has a greenish area there. Probably that painting, that section had the yellow that you see below or below that. And then I added a layer of something that made it look green. So it's like a system of improvisation in a way after a rigorous planning. Then I improvise like jazz. No, you work on this piece and then you work on the side and then you say this and then you say that until it clicks. No.
Yeah, it clicks. It does.
You know, there are even some side Wombleyan things in there in the
Of
upper
course,
panel,
of course.
which is very, you know, that now again the
Yes, I have seen a lot of side only, and I love the idea of floating calligraphy, and I've done in a lot of works. Yeah,
wonderful. It's a great combination.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to show these drawings because they were seminal in my development of the new series of abstract paintings, and these were done during the pandemic. And this is what I call the pandemic wall. It's a series of drawings. Each one is about 24 inches high, and they were made in amate paper, which is this Mexican handmade paper. When I work with drawings, I also work with special papers that react, and they are wonderful to work with, or say, give me a base of color. So here we have ink, charcoal, and gouache. And these are called encounters.
Can you say that again? They're called what?
The encounters.
Okay.
Encounters, by that I mean is the clash between a very flat area, geometric rectangle and the circles and the precision. This is Dionisio and Apollo again. The contrast of the two, and I visualize sometimes barriers. I visualize the square. There in this case, for example, that we're seeing here, there are gestures that are over the plane, the flat areas that are sort of overseeing or overpowering the geometry. And in some cases, I have a gesture that stops short against a plane. And I associate that with impediments that we feel in life as, for example, these gestures here down below and these ones on the right that are stopped by an invisible line, or the line that stops the gesture. It's like a line, the barriers that women artists may feel, or artists may feel when they assume something and they find a wall that you didn't see before. It's the glass walls.
Yes.
That it stops us from achieving things.
Right. We may have pierced the glass ceiling, but not the glass walls.
I'm talking about the glass walls because that's what I felt.
Yes.
Still
Interesting.
feel that today, or
I
it?
feel it. Yes, I feel it. I feel it today, and I feel it all the time. I felt it for many years.
Because I
Even-
thought today women are shown at greater rates than they used to be. You know, they're much more in demand, and no.
Yes, but still, you know. And by the way, the top element there, the top drawing in the center, was based on the swimming pool of Matisse.
Oh, right, right. I can see that.
So
I can see that.
I saw that swimming pool before.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, yeah.
My God,
Those rounded forms are the
my
figures,
swimming
aren't they?
pool.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's my swimming pool.
yeah.
Was Matisse on your mind during that day or that week or that month or
No,
that
I
year?
saw I saw the swimming pool. I've seen it many years ago, and I saw it recently, and I said, I'm going to do my swimming pool.
It's a beautiful piece.
Mm.
But you know, yeah, it's interesting because, you know, what we were talking about before, you know, the spectrum, you know, from the, you know, cerebral or intellectual or rational, all the way over to the sensual, to the chaotic, to the just the material, you know, the mystery of the material. So that whole spectrum, but you see that in Matisse. You recognize that in Matisse, you know, where he is on that spectrum. And the same is true with your work or with any artist. There's both have to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting that you
Did
chose.
you all see? Did you all
To
see
me-
Matisse when we first looked at this slide? Did everybody see Matisse right away?
No, she
No.
pointed it out, and then we went,
Right.
oh yeah.
Oh, I saw it early, like in those three on the lower, in the
Oh.
middle on the left.
Ah,
To me, it screamed Matisse.
Ah,
Yeah, and so did the upper right.
The
Yeah.
one on the left, the triptych on the left.
Yeah,
ah.
and the upper right on the top right.
yeah, I don't see that so much. I see it
Yeah,
really
in the middle.
specifically in this one.
Right.
Is that the one you were referring to, Lydia?
Which one?
This one.
No, I'm talking about the one that is on the left, lower left, the triptych.
This one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see more bacon there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Francis Bacon, sure.
But you know, it's like all of these are,
You
you know,
say
influences. They're all out there.
Did you say Bacon?
Yes.
Yeah, he said bacon.
I love that man. I love his work.
Totally, of course.
Yeah.
I love his work, and that, you know, this is a great honor to be paired with that master. I mean, like,
Totally.
I have thought. I stand in front of the Bacon and say, look at this man who was such an able man in terms of form and color.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to an artist friend recently, and he just said, they're a miracle. It's a miracle, you know, that those paintings somehow are so great on every level. And the strange, the disparate parts that came together to make those paintings.
But
Is it
also,
true?
you see, there you have the very smooth, flat planes, and
Yeah.
and then the crazy figures that are
Crazy.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
But they're contained. They're not all over. They're contained.
Yes.
You have to see Hans's work, because I think it's very comparable.
different.
Lydia, could I ask you on the upper right, what the plan was and how early or late in the work did the black ink go on? What was the last few strokes or the last was there a planning going on, and what was the first few things of completion, and maybe when did that black section at the top happen? Do you remember?
Okay. I worked, I think that I worked the geometric layout had that diagonal, whatever, and I established that center gray plane.
First,
And then I sometimes what I do is I start with a black gesture on a white piece of paper or the beige piece of paper. And then below that, I insert the planes. So the plane is an afterthought. And then, of course, the gesture of calligraphic gesture and the second brushstroke is over that. Then, of course, the white is over the gray. But sometimes I start with the blackest, gestures, and I have pieces that are painted on wood like that are, you have these black things, and then you see the geometry over instead of under after the fact.
Lydia, could you talk about this one on the bottom right, the lowest?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite. I love that part.
The bottom one there. Okay, you know what that is? I call them escenarios, which means stage sets. The two in the bottom, the two bottom ones are the scenarios, and they are like literally, I wish I could do a stage set like that. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, it's
that-
interesting because, that you say that, because Bacon, all those paintings are stage sets, you know?
Oh, yeah.
They're all, in fact, on stages.
But
So it's interesting that you make that connection.
what do you mean?
I'm just saying that Francis Bacon,
Yes.
he also, they're like stage sets.
Yes. Oh, you mean to say because of the flat background and the figure? Yeah.
Well, they're on even a platform sometimes. You know,
Yes.
like it's a stage set with a light, hanging down or
Never
whatever.
thought of them like that. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's interesting that you conceive these as stage sets.
But I think also what I see, Lydia, is that you do things, and let's say if things are not maybe fitting somewhere, they still fit in because you control them, you integrate them and say, this is this. You understand? You don't throw things away. I see even a process in a way. You know, that you keep the process also. Even it's so controlled, let's say, rational, but it's basically not, So it's very interesting for me.
Well,
Yeah.
I could see in this lower piece that's maybe, it looks also ripped. You ripped it somehow, or I don't know exactly. It's maybe just a part of something. It was maybe something else. That's fine.
No. No, I know what you're trying to say. No. I know what you're. In some cases that has happened, but not a lot. Okay.
Okay.
That breaking apart away and making that a piece. Very, not very, very much. Not very much.
Okay. Okay.
But let me say that these works were so very liberating to me. I felt, of course, liberated from narrative, liberated from the representational detail. It was like, welcome to the North, do your thing and forget about the South.
I have also a feeling that these pieces are in a way like a space where you are thinking, you are almost reading and writing, and the pieces are on a table, and you look on the table, this is, you know, it's something different than when you have pieces on the wall. It's completely different when you look at things on a table. And I like this intimity in a way of your thinking also, which are here.
You know,
I see that, you know, when you say pandemic, you are in a space, you are at the table, you're looking at these things, you know what I'm saying, and you are really considered and even calmed down. And
Well, these were done on a table, right? Right. These were done on a table, but what
Yes.
you're saying, something else, what you're saying is that these are like scribbles of a thinker on a table, something like that, no?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what it looks like? It looks as well.
it looks like
you know,
you are writing almost something instead of writing
Yeah.
or painting, you know.
Well, if you
But-
look at
Yeah.
yeah, on that, you know, to continue that idea, it looks like a musical score.
Yes.
Yes, for instance.
You know,
So it
Absolutely.
looks like, you know, so it looks like you're thinking, but you're thinking in these kind of abstract, almost
Mhm.
musical terms. You know, yes, it's art, it's visual.
It's not
but
squiggles.
but it feels like a constructed score.
That's right.
You know, of
Well,
Interesting.
music.
you know, the idea of working in triptychs and diptychs has followed me. You know, I cannot get rid of that, and I love working in threesomes or twosomes because it's a narrative in a way. There is a narrative.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
I can have to work with this and that, and then settle the middle, and you know, I work with a narrative in a sense.
These are wonderful, Lydia.
They really are.
I am pleased
They
to
are.
see the one that is on the right. I am wrapping it to send it to Puerto Rico. It was just recently acquired by an ex-student of mine that fell in love with his. He's an architect, and I taught a first year, second year class in the 60s, and he just bought that piece.
Oh, beautiful.
That's nice.
And this is a book, again, one of the latest book
Oh.
that I've done.
Ah,
There is a video that you can see. I mean, this book in a video. I just showed it in Cold Spring in the library, and it's called Cosmos, Dystopia, Utopia. And every letter is the letters are determining the number of pages, and each section then was there was a composer in Hudson, Julia Kent, that wrote 3 little pieces of music for this book.
Oh, nice.
ah.
What was her name? What was her name?
Julia Kent. She's a
Julia.
composer. Kent. She's a composer and she plays the viola, and
Okay.
she travels all over. And I met her by chance in Hudson, and then she came to my studio. And I said it would be wonderful to pair this with a piece of your work. And then she said, "I'll write 3 little pieces."
Great.
And that's in a video in my site.
There is that splotch of black again, Lydia, that you had in the other painting.
Yeah,
It's wonderful how these images repeat themselves.
Yeah, well, I think that I have arrived to a vocabulary in abstraction that I think that is very much my own.
Yeah.
And I think that it has a lot to say. I think that I look at it in a very positive way as something that can develop very well because it mixes that strict geometry with a gesture that is very loose and, you know, so that
Hola. Just like that.
The edges of that paper, could you tell me, I know you said you are careful about the quality and the characteristics of the paper you paint on, and the edges of this are really radical and beautiful and textural. And how did you?
These papers, I have a collection of papers that I've gathered through the years that I sometimes I don't dare use or something. But this paper came from Canada, and there was I had a show in Montreal, and I saw this factory of paper there that now, after many years, they have closed well, the main owner left, and the factory is still existing and producing these papers, handmade sheets that are like that. They're in all sorts of colors, and this is like an ivory color that I used. And I brought some paper from Canada. It's called the Saint Armand paper factory in Montreal.
So, yeah, Cliff, like handmade papers, frequently have these, they're not cut, so the edges are rough.
It's very, it adds, for me, if this was a fine cut, it would be a totally different piece.
Right.
Right. No, I use that all the time. Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. Yeah.
Handmade papers. Yeah.
Mhm.
This is one of my latest
Nice.
paintings. Is on linen, not stretched. And what I've done is I am going to put a rod above and a rod below, a wood rod, to hang it from there.
Right.
Like a
Make that a little larger.
Excuse me?
It's
It's,
unbelievable.
by the way, it's all done with natural pigments, powder pigments and resins. This is
So
not-
gorgeous.
It really is.
That's beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Lydia, what I really like too that I've been seeing often in your work is you're bringing in these very interesting lines, architectural lines. They're very faint, but I'm always seeing them, and it brings an additional interest to your work.
You mean the diagonals that you see here?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all over my work, and I
love them.
Those are the first lines that I drew.
Oh, okay. I love it.
And this is what was called before the architecture of painting. Through the years, to not now, because this is no longer taught in schools, unfortunately, but this is the basis of composition in painting that was done, documented all the way to Matisse. He did things like that, and many others, like I'm sure Bacon did too. These lines are never shown. And what I've done is I put the lines on showing the lines of composition in the architecture of painting being shown in the surface of the painting.
I love it. I think it's very interesting and painterly, and I think it's very thoughtful because I think you're thinking about the composition. I really enjoy looking at
How
those.
about these the white on the black? What do those lines represent?
That's also pigment. That's the calligraphic that's the calligraphic gestures. That's not there is no meaning. Oh, by the way, this piece is called Casa Tomada.
Casa Tomata.
Which means house overtaken, or a house that was stolen or something.
Oh,
Tomada.
a seized house.
Casa Tomada is the one of the stories of Julio Cortázar from Argentina, the title of that.
May I ask you a question? In the upper right-hand corner, I see a man's face. That was not intentional by you, was it?
No, but that's a mistake that I have to fix, and I don't want. I mean, I haven't. I see
have
it
to fix
now.
it.
See it now, but I don't want to see it.
Right.
Don't.
Right.
So it's a mistake, and I have to mend that. I have to paint over it with.
Right.
Another blotch. Okay.
But can you do that with the natural colors? Can you paint over easily?
Well, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
opaque enough.
It has to be thicker, of course. And this is another one that is of the same. So you see the bar below and above.
Yeah.
The
It's
Beautiful.
interesting because I really like this. This to me looks like it would have been a diptych, but it's one piece, but you still are getting the dimensions of pieces, which I love diptychs and triptychs too.
Yeah, because of the division of the canvas, that division has helped a lot. The vertical divisions into sections and the horizontals.
That's a beauty.
I love this.
Yeah.
Well,
Very nice.
well,
Wonderful the
well,
way you use color to
Nice.
balance it.
Yeah.
Very
That's
nice.
part of the geometry, I think.
Yeah,
And I like the unstretched canvas.
It's very good.
I like this
Beautiful work.
this universal feeling, this astrological feeling. Do you like, Lydia, do you like the work of Hilma af Klint?
Yes, of course, of course. I saw the show.
Yeah, me too.
Show at the Guggenheim. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there are traces in your work?
Well,
Or-
there are pieces that I've done that are closer to her work than this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
much closer. I have a whole series of geometric paintings that
Oh,
relate also to the elements, because one of my themes has been the 4 elements. The earth,
Yeah.
this is earth,
yes.
the other one is fire, this is
Uh-huh.
air.
Yes.
And again, that helps me work. If I have a theme, like I'm going to do now the water pieces,
Mhm.
and now I can visualize,
Sure.
much.
Yeah.
We had that discussion, I think, last week about the square and about the
Yeah.
square format and composing on a square. And I love this. It looks like a square to me, but I love that it's not symmetrical. It's it's 2 halves, but they're not equal in size. They're
You mean the
it's
vertical?
asymmetrical, but yet it completely works.
Yeah.
The vertical, you're talking about the vertical.
The vertical, yeah. The vertical split. Yeah.
It's this
Yeah,
composition is so
this
great.
line. This line.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
yeah.
you're saying that it's not equal to the other.
Yeah, they're not symmetrical. I like that.
Yeah.
Because you see how the diagonal here that goes from the upper left corner to the
Yeah.
center
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
one that is determining that proportion. You see
Yes.
that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's
that diagonal has to be a perpendicular to some other line there.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one.
how did you paint the
Yes,
bottom?
that one, exactly. That's the one.
That's
The one. And that determines also the proportion of the gray, the lower gray part there,
Yeah. These were techniques used in the Renaissance to compose a painting. They were very keen on those, the golden rectangle.
But not only in the Renaissance. I have books that prove in diagrams, and I've done many diagrams on any painting. That is like I can do that with a Bacon, and I can show you
Yeah.
his.
Mm-hmm.
I
there's things.
had a collection of postcards from
Yeah.
museums of paintings that I like, and then I put the lines over them, and they work.
Right. Yeah, there's certain things that were just that work, that people understood were visually.
I am
please-
going to say something that is very retrograde and very, very, very passé. But in order to achieve a certain visual order that we used to call beauty, you need these structures. Otherwise, you don't get it. You just don't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the eye is used to certain patterns of order, whether we
Yes.
like it or not.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the eye is the one that is, like when you said viscerally, when I look at this painting for the first time, that's the eye. It's not the.
Yes.
Good point.
Could you tell me how you applied the paint at the bottom, the little, the marks that, is that an individual paintbrush, or is that a tool of some kind where you were putting the brownish color into the gray at the very edge between the gray and the brown? What was
You're talking about the area that is colored umber or terracotta, or are you talking about the gray area?
between the gray and the umber, those little lines? I can't see it on the computer as much as I would like to see it in real life, but I was just wondering how you made those individual sort of marks looking like at the end of a rug where there'd be a little straggling. There's a lot of
You mean here in this area?
yes, just where
Okay.
The
That
joint.
is done. No, the whole area was painted. All the the natural pigments were painted with sponges,
Ah,
not with brushes.
No brush.
Sponges like dipped into the liquid, you know, in a pan and then rubbed into the canvas in
I see.
layers.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
And then the center section probably was more with brushes.
And the
Like,
black shadow, and that black long shadow, that's probably not a shadow, but that black shadow looked like a another
that is
one of
all
those
brush. That is all brush. Yes.
brush, yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
This is the latest, the elements, and I have 4 of them. This is fire.
Mhm.
And again, it's a mixture of realistic imagery with more abstract imagery. I saw the fires of California, and I saw the trees burning, and I thought of this image below. I couldn't, you know, I thought it was so sad that you know, how could I express fire? And so that these are put together with wood sections, and they are screwed behind. They have fasteners behind, and you can separate them for shipment, but these are not interactive.
Right.
I
The-
like that's a nice
beautiful.
wall sculpture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
The
But
fire at
me-
the bottom looks photographic. It's almost, for me, I can see it looks like a photograph. It's so the bottom, where the fire at the bottom of the
Ah, yeah.
bottom one, that color, what is that color, and how did you,
That's oil.
but what is the lightest, most intense part of the flame? What was
Oh,
that done with?
which color it is?
Just
You know,
white.
Well, I think I was using their black, and I used vermilion, and I used the red that is I never used the sort of plastic reds. I used the toxic reds, which are the
Cadmium.
Cadmiums?
cadmium. Cadmium. You cannot do this unless you use cadmium.
Yeah.
Oh.
With a white, it looks like. You mixed it
Right. Right.
uh,
Ah.
with a titanium or
Oh, no,
even
no, these
lead.
are not mixed with white. These are
Oh, no.
all glazes.
Oh,
Glazes. They are not big.
Uh-huh.
They're not heavy. They're
okay.
layers, one over.
Okay.
Ah.
oh wow.
If you mix white with a cadmium, you get a pink that is not related to fire.
No.
Right.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So unless you have glazes, in order to do a realistic sky, or some, you know, things like that are vaporous, that they're, you know, like smoke, you
Yeah.
have to do glazes. And that's why these, you know, landscape painters that were like the Dutch 17th century, and I studied a lot of Ruysdael, and people like that in museums in Europe, in Holland, you know. I was paralyzed looking at these skies and thinking, how did they do that? How did they do that? And I have paintings that try to get to that effect, you know.
That's a good tip. Thank you for that one. I'm going to take that one to the bank.
Change your method to glazes, you'll see what you can get.
Oh, I like this a lot too.
Oh gosh, look at this.
This is earth.
Very nice. Yeah.
Ah.
What's
Elegant.
going on right here, Lydia? What is that?
That's gold paint.
Paint?
Gold paint.
Gold paint. Okay.
But then you have the elements too that are related to earth, are the triangle that is upside down with a line, that is the symbol of earth. And the cube below, the cube in the round piece, there is a cube that's also associated with earth.
I love that one. That is spectacular. That
It's
round
elegant.
with the cube and then the blue, it's beautiful.
But I wanted to put this at the end because these to me are a reflection of what I did with the first piece that I showed you.
Yes.
Oh,
The
arms.
I understand. Yeah.
construction of this.
Yeah.
And it's so elegant,
It
so
is elegant.
incredible, elegant, wonderful.
Yeah, very.
I want jewelry like that. I would love a pin like that or a necklace. It's just beautiful.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's make some jewelry.
Very elegant.
Did you match the paint color on the oval? There's a piece of wood and that goes into the painting, and then you painted the painting in the same color as the wood, so it looks like the wood is going into the oval.
Right here.
Yeah.
No, that's gold. It's, well, of course, they're both gold paint.
Oh,
The bar wood, all the wood pieces in this case, earth, which is gold, they are gold.
I see. So you
The
painted.
ones that are air and fire is gold. No, air and water are white, are painted white.
But those long pieces are all wood?
All wood, yeah.
All wood.
Mhm.
I love how you.
No, everything here is wood. All the panels are wood.
Everything's wood. Okay.
Panels of wood.
I like that first piece of it, the palm trees.
Yes.
I like your composition with the wood. I think it's terrific.
Does
You know-
this have a name, this piece?
What's the name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The name is Earth.
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 Okay.
Earth.
This is Earth. Yeah.
Earth to Hans. Earth to Hans.
Does gold paint come out of a tube, or does it a gold leaf or some
Oh,
kind of?
no, this is not gold leaf. This is I found this Ace hardware gold paint that is extraordinary. And now I cannot find it because the materials, there is some ingredient there that they have, but it was the best ever. A little can of gold paint from Ace Hardware, but now I have to find other options.
Probably
And
not that good for you.
yeah, it's oil-based gold paint.
I see. Thank you.
Beautiful. Lovely.
Yeah.
Ooh.
These are also buried like 2 years ago or so. These are the James Webb pieces that are all related to the constellations and the cosmos, no?
Oh,
And when the James Webb telescope was discovered or made ready, no? I started to look at these images, and I was just fascinated with the idea of the depths of the sky, and
Yeah.
and also the superimposition of the geometrical grids there that you see the lines.
Yes.
It's like man trying to measure the infinite.
I like
Because you always have the scientific layer over the views,
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, all of the work have, as we were discussing before, the compositional elements that please us, please the eye, that feel right. And I feel it very, very much in this piece. I feel it in all of them, but I'm just saying that this is not just, this painting as well, behind the universe, there's, this kind of structure, there's a sense everywhere we look, it all is, it's all in its place, as it were. And that's the feeling I get from this painting.
Right.
Compositionally, it just
Great.
feels right.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is all very meaningful to me because I haven't had a lot of feedback on the whole work today, and I'm going to ask you some questions that may help me develop more paintings when we're finished,
Sure.
Feedback.
Sure. Got it.
What I also see in your work is still, it's so much clearness, but there is also in each piece still some mystery.
Yeah.
There is something, a mystery, a deep mystery in your artwork.
Absolutely.
Wonder.
Which is very intriguing, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
whole, you
Yes.
know, it's not
Right.
something which you say, oh, it's always the same, or you know what I'm saying? There
Yeah.
is something going on, very, very deep somehow.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
which resonates with me. Very.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a lot of these pieces of different sizes, those the
Oh.
ones of James Webb. This is a piece now that is, and by the way, you don't see their black lines that are against the black of the you don't see
Oh, okay. I can't.
the
Yeah, I
black.
can't do. Yeah, I can't change that right now.
Oh, because yeah, the black lines, the painting is there's a diptych and they're complete sections. They're not panels. They're just two panels, two sections.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it.
All on
Yeah.
canvas. So you're
So you
losing-
mean, so right here, there's a black line,
Yes,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and here,
I love
right?
that. That's
Oh,
great.
look at that.
Back
I
And
see.
here.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I can't.
No, we can understand it though. We can,
Yeah,
we can
okay.
see
I
it.
wanted
Yeah, yeah.
to say, this is part of the notes from the river that mix some realistic elements with the geometrical grids and the flat planes and things like that. And I love this too. You know, it's very like the one of the recent things.
There it
that-
is.
Yeah. So
Didn't I do that skillfully?
Yes.
finally, yes, you did. That
Thank
was
you.
incredible, Mark.
Thank you.
You did everything like.
Mark, you're doing great.
No, but
Okay.
you know, I'm debating between, you know, what I can do next, and I'm thinking, you know, I am interested in continuing almost both
Oh, that's not it though. Yeah. Go ahead.
both versions of me, you know, the one that wants to paint the realistic, more images of skies and landscapes and things like, and the one that does the abstract work. So in a sense, what my goal would be is to put together the two, which is extremely difficult. But I don't know. I in that I may welcome your comments.
You seem like you're pretty successful with that, with this particular piece, because there's this landscape that everybody sees, and then but the lines and the different ways you did all the lines, you know, gives it this abstract characteristic. So I think you're sort of on the right track if that's what you're trying to do here, because this seems very very has both elements to me.
Yeah. It does combine. That's why I
Yes.
have it at the end. But I don't know exactly the direction that I'm going to take now in the next batch of works. I mean, I'm thinking
Yes.
about.
Well, if you were to ask me, I don't know if part of it. I think the most successful, I love this piece. And I think the most successful piece for me, the most unusual, was like the third, the one where you had 24 pieces. And
Yeah.
it was just so different and interesting. And what I liked about
One
it,
based on the Rubens.
yeah, and what I loved about it was that it talked about who you were. And I think to me,
Ah.
that makes it the most interesting. So
Well,
you're
that's I
super
would say
interesting.
the most complex piece, and you don't do that every day, you know.
Right.
No.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I think that for me, I think that I know it took you 3 years, but I just think that I felt like that to me was your biggest masterpiece. And I loved it because I got to know.
I agree with you because it summarizes so much, and I would love to show it at the Bass